welcome back. If you're new, my name is Pat, and this channel is Unrushed Roads, where the journey means more than the destination. So I wanted to try something different this weekend as I can. I'm headed up to Peralta Regional Park, and Peralta is a primitive campsite. It's remote camping, that meaning there's no water, there's no power, you're on your own. They do have waterless washrooms, so pit or vaulted toilets, I guess, or an outhouse. And it's supposed to be very nice. It's nestled up within the superstition, so I'm hoping it's cooler up there when we get there as opposed to down here in the valley. I do apologize for the road noise. It is kind of loud. And when we get there and get all settled, I want to bring you up to date on the channel and why I chose this park and what's coming up. So I will bring you back in about 35-40 minutes when I get all settled, and then we'll have some conversations. Enjoy the ride. As I turned in on the directions to get to Peralta, you have to take a primitive road. And I do like the fact that there are two signs letting you know that this is a primitive road, and you drive on it at your own risk because roads are not regularly or maintained. So it's 5 miles of this kind of driving until you get to the entrance of the park. There is an upcoming sign that says the land going forward is state trust land. You can camp on state trust land, but in the state of Arizona, that requires a permit that will cost you $15 for the year, which is not a bad price. And if you don't have one, you can incur fines, which are pretty steep. The rangers do drive by, they will check you. Now, as we turn into the park, the roads are just as rough, if not rougher, and very bumpy. So at this point, I had taken the sound out, as you know, as I do a voiceover, and then we'll get to the campsite. Okay, we're here at the campsite. I just pulled in. I'm going to go ahead and get set up, and then I'll bring you back and we'll talk about what's coming up on the channel. Just kind of catch up because it's been a while. So see you in a couple minutes. Hey, welcome back, guys. I'm bringing you back a little bit later than planned. I was actually just sitting and enjoying this view. So this is the view from the back of my car. So when I go to bed tonight, I can stare at this. And when I wake up, I'll get to see this. We are nestled up in the middle of the Superstition Mountains. So this is the Peralta Regional Park. So I think right up there, I got the sun on me, but I believe that right up there is one of the waterless washrooms. And you can see here the campsites are pretty close. I think there's only like 2 of us on here, including, or 2, maybe 3, including the camp hosts. And so it's pretty quiet. Part of the reason is it's really hot this time of year in Arizona, and most people are heading north. And some folks have actually, like the snowbirds that have been here, they're gone. They're gone, and a lot of them left early because, most people come down here for spring training, and Major League Baseball opened up the season a week earlier than they had previously. So just wanted to show around here. This is just beautiful. And I was just sitting here taking it in. Now we are having some gusts up to 13-mile-an-hour winds. They're just kind of coming and going. So I want to try and get some conversations going before the wind picks up too much and we don't have time to talk, or you guys won't be able to hear me. So let me try and see if I can get where I'm not in the sun, and then I will sit down and we'll talk. So the main reason I did this, aside from wanting to see if I could do dispersed camping, someplace out on a forest road or somewhere else, is because I was planning, or I am planning, a trip where I want to go up the West Coast. I've always wanted to drive the Coast Highway. I want to go back. I'm originally from the Pacific Northwest. I moved down here for work, and I want to go back and visit my friends. And I'm very happy to say that there's happy, fortunate. I feel very, very fortunate in the sense that most of the friends I had in elementary school, we're still friends. And so that's a lot of years. So I want to go back, spend some time up there. Plus it's much cooler up there. And then work my way down through, the coast, Oregon, California, and then back home. And so I wanted to know if I need to just pull over and get some rest. If I have my car set up like it is now, can I do that? Do I have the right gear? Do I have the right setup where if I wanted to pull off, catch a couple hours of sleep, and then keep driving, can I do that? So what I'm going to do here, let's take a look inside of my setup, what I have, and let me show you what I have. And I think I'm okay. I do realize that as I started to pack up for today, the one thing I really need is a roof rack with a roof basket. And the reason for the basket is I have a panoramic roof on my Jeep. So the whole top of my car is glass. So I need to have a basket so I can store stuff. That will help eliminate some of the closeness which is inside the Jeep, which I'll show you right now. So what I have today is just for my setup. I have my bed and I have my refrigerator. I have my fan. These are some of the things I need for like cooking and all that kind of stuff. I have a 300-watt Jackery in here, which I use for all my electronics and lights and probably that fan. I do have one dedicated Jackery to the refrigerator, and it's a Jackery 1000 V2, and that's down here on the floor. So that's dedicated to the fridge to keep that going. And I have my blackout shades. Sorry, I'm spinning around as I'm talking. I have lights. I have all that kind of stuff. I have my camp stove. I have all my little goodies here that I carry. I have a chair, stuff like that. So I think from this perspective, I have the right gear that if I wanted to go and just kind of check it out and do like a roadside camp, or if I'm driving somewhere, especially I remember driving to New Mexico, there's a lot of pullouts because the restrooms, they have restrooms but no toilets. And they will tell you that, hang on, let me turn this around. So like on your way to New Mexico, if you've ever taken that road coming from Arizona, going down there, there's a long stretch of nothing. And they have pullouts with picnic tables where you can just kind of sit and cook and do that kind of thing. And I thought, that's really kind of nice if I had kind of the setup I had today 4 years ago when I'm driving, because it's like 16 hours, to where I could just pull off to the side, either rest, have a meal, and just kind of sit and chill out before hitting the road again. So with this setup, I think I could probably hit the road, but I think what I need is a little more experience with dispersed camping. I want to try the full setup with my tent, my privacy tent, which I do have and I have used, but I want to be able to do that setup and see what it's like and experience that, kind of totally out of your element. You're not within the kind of the safety of a campground. Now, this one here, although I think it's pretty empty. I think, like I said, there's only a few of us in here, but the fact that there's a camp post, and I think one time earlier I saw a sheriff's car drive through here, just kind of doing the rounds to make sure everything's kind of kosher, right? Because there is a burn ban to make sure people aren't making a fire and all that. So you have a little bit of, I would call, security or false sense of security, because there's some other folks here. But when you're out on a forest road or somewhere out in the middle of the woods, you're by yourself. And I want to know, can I do that? Because that is something I really want to do in terms of when I want to get away. I want to get away. I mean, I want it really quiet and possibly without neighbors. Kind of like now, no neighbors, but without the heat. So that's kind of what I want to do and where I want to take this channel. My goal is to camp and travel across the US. So part of that start would be going to the Pacific Northwest, an area that I'm familiar with. And then, work my way back down, doing things I've always wanted, like the Coast Highway. So, um, that is kind of the update on the channel. It's been a little bit of between this video and the last video, and I'm working to try and get a better filming schedule down. It's just that, I don't do this full time, so I still have commitments outside of camping that I need to take care of. And unfortunately, those commitments have taken precedence. And so now that things are kind of more uh, rounded up and taken care of, I hope to get back to camping again. I have some trips in mind here locally. I did push, originally I was supposed to go to the Northwest in May, and then I pushed that to June, hoping that the gas prices might ease up a little bit. And then I was going to take off the first week of June, but I forgot my brother-in-law had got me as a Christmas present tickets to the Rod Stewart concert. So that's on June 8th. So I'm now not leaving till almost the middle of June, which is okay. But hopefully gas will be a little bit cheaper. I don't think it will, but the price of gas will have a big deciding factor on when I go and how long I will go. Originally, I was going to be gone like the whole month of May and then maybe the whole month of June when it got pushed. But with gas prices so high, and here in Arizona, I think the most I paid for gas, I always buy gas at Costco, and I think I paid $4.05 to fill up, and I had like a 15-gallon tank, and I was pretty empty. I put in like 15 gallons and something. it's like 60 bucks for a tank of gas. Now, in the Northwest, in Seattle or in Washington in general, I was listening to the King 5 News, and this was like a couple weeks ago, and gas was over $6.10 a gallon. It was like, almost $6.20 a gallon. And then I hate to even think what it is in California. So, I have to consider that because if I go, then how much driving am I going to do there, right? Because and especially in Washington, my friends are very scattered and there's a lot I want to do. Camp there, but the camping there is far, not far and in between, but where I want to go, the distance is great, which means going to be more driving and more gas. So I really need to take the time to map it out. But that's what the upcoming plans for the channel are going to be is I want to head north. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. My phone did overheat. It's too hot out here. I am recording on my phone, and my phone shut down because it was too hot. So I have one of these little gaming fans that I used. I put on there, cool it down so I could finish this. I'm going to go ahead and just end the video here for now. I'll bring you back when I decide to cook some dinner. I'm not really hungry, but I am going to just sit back. I'm probably going to listen to a book and just really relax. And please comment below if you've done some dispersed camping, what were some of the things that you have that maybe you see I don't have, or some suggestions for me. I think that'd be really helpful for me. Um, Other than that, I think I'm going to just relax for a little bit. And then if I cook some dinner, I'll bring you back and we'll chit chat some more. Other than that, guys, have a wonderful evening and we'll talk over some coffee in the morning if I don't come back. Talk to you later. Good night. At this point in the video, I didn't realize until after that the mic had stopped working. So I decided to come back and cook dinner and bring you guys along with me. And I am making chicken curry. I'm making Japanese curry, not from scratch, as they have, you can buy the sauce with the vegetables in a packet already and you just add the meat, which is very convenient for camping. Typically you use you use white or yellow onions. I only had red, so I used red. During this time too, I also talked about if you wanted to visit the park, the campgrounds will be closed June, July, and August. Then they will not open again until September. So if you want to, you probably have like 2 weeks left before that happens. And then the actual park will be open, just the campground will be closed. So at this point, it's letting you guys know that I'm going to get ready to eat, and I don't particularly like people watching me eat, so I was going to sign off and join you back in the morning. Good morning. Wasn't that a beautiful sunrise this morning against this whole landscape? Oh my gosh. Well, I've had my coffee and I've had breakfast, and I want to let you guys know how it went last night. So, once I closed everything up, it did get really toasty in there, and the winds got up to about 20 to 25-mile-an-hour gust winds. So, I folded up my chairs and my table and put those under the car, and because they normally lay on the bed when I'm traveling, and everything went back in the car, which was fine, even with all that. In my Jeep, my front seat folds totally flat. The back seat doesn't fold flat, but that's okay because I don't mind being a little bit elevated because I had something, the tub was up against in the front, so I kind of helped elevate my head. And I'm 5'10", and I was very comfortable. Other than it did get rather warm. I ran the fan all night last night, and I don't know if you can see, let's see. So I got my solar out, and is it right there? There you go. So I got my solar out, and it's been out since I plugged it in at 6:59 into the small Jackery, and I'm already at 80% charge. That tells you how high the UV is here in Arizona. So I'm getting like around 80 watts of solar right now. So it's charging pretty fast. Now, I think the refrigerator worked really hard last night, but it's still going at about 45 or 50%, which, depending on the environment uh, conditions, it can last either 3 days or shorter, right? So I expect, because it was so hot in the car last night, I got up around 11:30 or 12, and I started the car and turned on the air conditioner to cool off the car, just because it was just way too hot. And then I cracked the windows and cracked the sunroof, and that made it very nice, because then when the winds were blowing, I kind of opened the blackout shades, the extra fabric you have that tucks into the window. I just folded down the corners on each one, and the wind helped really blow through. So that was nice. But the fridge did work pretty hard last night, which, contributed to the heat, right? So the heat was coming out of the vents. But other than that, it was really a nice night. It was comfortable. And I think the other day or earlier, I said, let me scoot this back. Hold on. I think I said earlier that the sheriff had drove by. It's actually I meant to say park rangers. Uh, so there was no sheriff that drove by. So park ranger, to ensure the burn ban and all those other things and make sure everyone's safe. He drove by this morning about a couple times. He drove by when I got up, like around 5:30 when the sun came out. I got up, and he drove by, said good morning. He kind of did the rounds, and then he came back again. So they do make the rounds, which is nice, which is kind of like I told you, even though this is a primitive campsite, it does give you that little bit of security that there are rangers on site and camp hosts, right? As opposed to now going out and doing total dispersed camping on your own, where you don't have someone checking around to make sure you're okay. Now, the nice thing is, when I think there's only, like I said before, besides the camp host, myself, and I think there's two other campsites that were reserved. I heard children playing last night and early this morning, so they must be on the other side over there. And other than that, and it's just so peaceful here. I mean, you saw the landscape. It's just wonderful. But I'm gonna sit here. I don't know if I'll cook lunch here before I go home. I have to be out by noon, and I think it is now. It's like 9 o'clock. So I have like another hour and a half, pack up the car and get ready to go. I did find out last night, my neighbor called me on my Ring doorbell. So hopefully this doesn't push my plans back, but my irrigation system sprung a leak last night, and it was spraying about 20 feet in the air and getting his camper all wet. I just asked him if he could please just turn off the irrigation system, and I'll deal with it when I get home. He's a really nice guy. That only happens when I go camping. Something springs a leak, and I have to ask him, could you just turn off the irrigation system? So he's really a nice neighbor. Um, Other than that, guys, I'm just gonna sit back, enjoy the sunshine. I'm gonna just catch up on some reading and update my journal. And I think that'll be it. But if I don't come back and I don't cook lunch, thank you for joining. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe. Really helps out the channel. And I will see you again at the next campsite or our next adventure. Have a wonderful weekend.